Greetings again, folks. Good afternoon. Well, it's still morning. It's almost noontime. This is Dr. John Taylor Kent. I just finished the video on the dumbing down of Americans. I was going to call it the dumbing down of America, but then I realized I needed to make it a little bit more personable so you would understand that you are the target. Americans are the target. Americans are the target of what's going on in Europe right now. And if we go to war, according to Siener von Rensinger, the seer out of the little village of Rensinger in South Africa, the United States of America is about to go down and stay down. So welcome to Awakening Israel, whereby I do my best to awaken my brothers, our brothers and sisters in Israel. If you don't know who Israel is, you need to catch up by watching the other videos. I want to try to stay on subject with Siener von Rensinger. And the problem is that we don't have his works in English. I've been in touch with the people from South Africa, hoping they would give us an English translation of his visions and of his prophecies. So what I'm giving you is an oral tradition, what I remember as best I can, and hopefully I'll keep this short. The reason I hope to keep it short is because I think there's going to be somebody who will come along who will explain things to us better. Or maybe somebody in South Africa will watch this and realize that they need to help us out here by translating the books into English. I am not going to learn Afrikaans. I'm not going to learn the Afrikaans, their language. Siener von Rensinger actually helped the military out. He was alive when the British were fighting against South Africa at the turn into the 20th century, from the 1800s into the 1900s. He had visions, and I remember that wagons in particular were referring to war. How they do that, I don't know. I don't understand it. I would love to have a book on his prophecies. Just can't get it. But regarding America and World War III, Siener von Rensinger said that World War III would last about 2 weeks. It would be over very fast, and that we would see things in the skies that we've never seen before, because they're going to be rolling out weapons that they've kept quite secret from the public. And it will only last 2 weeks. And he said that in that war, within 24 hours, the United States of America will lose her armament. Now, we know for a fact that when Barack Insane Obama was president, he changed our policy. He changed our policy so that we would not launch missiles in retaliation upon notice that missiles were launched at us. But instead, we would sit on our asses and absorb the first strike. Basically, sacrificing the country. If that's not high treason, I don't know what is. So, von Rensinger says the United States would never again be a superpower. As far as who would be victorious in this war, it would be Germany. Germany would be the world superpower. And whoever sided with Germany was going to be on the winning side. Interesting. He also said that our civil war would start in the middle of the country. And while we were busy fighting among ourselves, which we certainly are fighting among ourselves, aren't we? That we would be attacked from without and destroyed. Von Rensinger served in the military. He never lifted an arm. He refused to carry a gun. He refused to even think about taking another human life. He gave good information to the officers and told them where they could cross rivers. He told them where the other troops were at. He was in touch with that somehow, and he was right on. He's survived by several children. I know he has a daughter, granddaughter there in South Africa today. I don't know much more about the man. I don't know about his life, his history, and all that. I don't know how educated he was or he wasn't. I don't know. But what I can tell you is that he said, he predicted what was going to be happening to South Africa and the demise which this country contributed towards. You see, we've been taken over and occupied by a foreign power for quite a while. And so they got us to use our might against the people in South Africa. What von Rensinger said is that that flag of theirs would fly again. And they will be victorious. So they will be back. No thanks to America at this point, I can tell you that. But they will be back. So they will rise up and they will be victorious. And there are a couple of places where people would go from our nation should all hell break loose. There were some groups that actually had boats that were in the process, or being made anyway, or were made. And their idea was that they would go to South Africa if things got bad here. Well, it might be time for those boats to float and the folks to go down that way. I don't like the idea of losing our armament within 24 hours. But the only way that's going to happen is with a nuclear first strike. We are forcing the Russians into a corner. And we're forcing them to turn to their nuclear missiles. And the sad thing is that there's no end in sight because we have insanity running the country today. We have insane madmen in power running the show. We have people that basically are beholden to other people and they're just following orders. And I'm not talking about the president. Well, the president is following orders. It's obvious he can't think his way out of a wet paper bag. He's not safe to be president. He's too dumb. He'll go ahead with the attack or go ahead with the stand down. However these guys tell him to do things, that's what he'll do. And he's not an America firster. He's an Israel firster. He's already told us he's a Zionist himself. I think these controls go beyond the Zionists, in case you're wondering. I think this is another level beyond them. Maybe 2 more levels beyond them. Maybe 3. I think we're dealing with an old ancient cult that survived the Earth Ages. And you folks think nobody would ever do that. That doesn't make sense. You've got to be wrong. They would never do that. Why, that would hurt themselves. That would hurt their own children. You need to understand, these folks worship a different God. They think a different way. Their DNA isn't even the same. And you expect them to be honorable and noble? No, they're not. They're not innocent at all. They know exactly who we are. They know exactly who they are. They know exactly what they're doing. And all of this stuff has been planned well in advance. Before World War II was over, they had already planned the Korean War and the Vietnam War. I wouldn't be surprised if they had planned the Iraqi War. Back then, not likely, but possible. Just be flexible in that thought. I'm flexible in it. I'd like to doubt that, but we know for a fact that Vietnam was planned before World War II was over. So these people, these families that run the show behind the scenes, secretly are very evil. They love playing God. They love to even talk about themselves as if they're God or gods. You need to understand that you can't expect them to be as civil as we are. You can't expect them to be as rational or as sane as we are. And as far as I can tell, we're not doing good that much ourselves anymore on those domains. We aren't being very civil. We certainly aren't being very rational. Siener von Rensburg basically described the United States getting nuked. And this regime that's in power would rather get you and I nuked than give up power. I'm not talking about Putin. I'm talking about the jackasses in D.C. and the rest of the rhinos and the Democrats, the rest of the communists across the nation would rather not let their grip slip one bit. They'd rather kill us and take some of themselves with us rather than let their grip slip at all. May Yahweh bless America.